Good evening, everybody. System Jock here with the 97th, I believe, episode of our first run on YouTube for House of Light, the expansion to Book of Hours. Now, I know we had worked out sort of a reshelving plan and a bit of a plan in terms of the leveling that I was going to do. Unfortunately, I do have to record this episode after. Basically, I got some sleep, so I'm a little fuzzy in terms of next steps, but not so much that I think I need to completely reevaluate everything. Now, if I recall correctly, we were working on making a name day riddle, and that was so that we could read the White Jade tablet, which in turn would give us rights of the roots. And I'm feeling a little insecure about the idea that we don't actually have rights of the roots after all this time, but clearly it's not on the list here, so I should probably relax about that. Now, one thing that does strike me as a little funny is I don't have a clear idea in terms of like the next texts to read. I think I did kind of say that's going to be something I need to think about in this session, but I'll confess I don't actually have a really, I don't have a slam dunk in terms of how exactly I want to think about this. So let's maybe attack this from another angle. So Rights of the Roots is definitely on the list. If I were to say, I want to get Serpents and Venoms up to 4, and I only want to get it up to 4. We're not going to worry about what happens with solutions and separations. I'm curious what that looks like. So Matters and Deeds of Serpents, we can apply that to Edicts Liminal, which of course means that Inks of Revelation can now be applied to solutions and separations, Now, actually, maybe this would be a good place for me to start. So let's run with that hypothesis. Let's say Matter and Deeds of Serpents is on the table in terms of providing me the memory that I need to move up. What does that look like in terms of the effort that I need to put in? So I don't have a tool that will give me knock. I may have an ink. But yeah, that's just a matter of two knocks. So I suppose one spin that I would maybe put on this would be, if I find something to put Serpents and Venoms up to 4, well, Solutions and Separations can easily go to 5, and at that point I just wait for On the Matters and Deeds of Serpents to bring Edicts Liminal up to 7. And then, of course, we'd have something left over. Maybe I want to work that out now. So in terms of knock, probably preliminal meter is a good starting candidate. Maybe surgeries and exsanguinations as well. Yeah, okay. I have some ideas on that. Okay. So from that, it follows that I may want to consider either the Black Book of Brittany or the White Book of Brittany for memories. Actually, sorry, Black Book of Brittany doesn't work because Ragged Crossroads doesn't help me with Serpents and Venoms. But the Black Book of Brittany should give me two moon. It should give me 2 moon aspected lessons with which I can level up Serpents and Venoms. So that, not only are we going to do that, but I think I might be able to get away with that right away. Yeah, we just need the globe. So clearly I want to make an old wound, but we can make that old wound whenever we want. So moon, a culmination. I can master this mystery, enough moon to match mystery moon. And so essentially what this means is that the Inks of Revelation almost certainly we're setting that aside in favor of pursuing Edicts Liminal. And also with this in mind, I am trying to fold in whatever books I can as part of the expansion. So I'm hoping over time we'll start consolidating all of these, but I think I'm okay in terms of where we're at for a few of these. Also, I don't know why I said Edict's Liminal was the highest. It's Great Signs and Great Scars, so we can probably do even better in terms of reading on the Matters and Deeds of Serpents, but that's not critical right now. Okay, now the next thing that I probably need to think about here would be, I have a few options in terms of like overall tasks. So on one hand, I can say, let's not just focus on leveling up all of these skills. Let's try and get more done. But, well, there isn't really a but on that. I can definitely do more than one. So I'll wait to see the weather before I bring in Denzil. But perhaps what I will do is I will try and figure out what we want to do with those who do not sleep. If I recall correctly, we needed the Pribiat for that, but I could be mistaken. No, we wouldn't have needed the Pribiat for it, because then I wouldn't have been able to use the bronze knife. But I do need the impulse. Okay. So that gives me something to start with. I'm just trying to think if there's other steps that I want to take. Again, I think I'm going to wait for the weather before we commit to anything else. Alright, the sunny day doesn't really do anything for me, so it's business as usual, basically. I'm always welcome at Denzil's smithy. Denzil will offer help for free as a friend. If you give him occult coinage, he can perform the service of division. Denzil rarely works for free, but he won't take payment for helping a friend. Alright, so let's... I do want to make an Orpiment Exultant, but what I want to make more than that is an Iotic Essence. If I take the Alchemist's Glassware, if I recall correctly, Bells and Braziers doesn't help me there. Yeah, so we can try to make the Orichalcum, but that's down the road. I did not do myself any favors on... Oh, hang on, it was Anbury and Lapidary. Right. Excuse me. Okay, so this one... this one gets a little funny. So I need... Excuse me. Actually, it's not as hard as it seems. So one of those... In fact, what we'll do here... So this lets me use the granite... So it is a little bit of a shame to give up the tea because it is useful, but energize this liquid into a ready essence of forge power. My hope here is that we should be able to recover the honey scar. Why can I not remember where the honey scar jasmine comes from? Oh, autumn, so I'm one season off. Okay, so a little inconvenient, although I think we have, yeah, we have a reserve of honey scar right now. So what I'll do with that is I will take the time to brew another pot of tea. I don't, you don't know where, you don't know where you're gonna need it next. Okay, so we're already getting Denzil. Let's also go to the Sweet Bones. So you can see here in terms of secondary tasks, I'm moving on to trying to clear out whatever curses I can. I suspect it'll just be those who do not sleep, but I will, I'll think about the next step, or the next curse that I try to remove after we clear that out. It's a little bit of a half measure. It's obviously there's more exciting things that I can be doing in terms of, you know, trying to get into certain rooms and such, but we still have some time left in the season, so I don't want to throw out the possibility that there's, you know, a storm or something. Although, once I'm done with all of my lessons, I might want to try and make a few more memories. Alright, he does a lot with silence, this man. So this actually will help me with serpents and venoms. This is one of the big reasons why I want Denzel for today. Unfortunately, we can't throw away any sand. That won't help me with leveling up, but... Okay, a true and complete accounting of the Asclepian mysteries of the roots of the house. Descriptions of the Asclepian mysteries, reproduced by one Riley Gress from supposedly a much older text. It's unlikely to be genuine, but it makes a reference to the house without walls and its wood right there in the prologue. This is very obviously not an antique text. At the very least, it has been badly mutilated, but it contains substantial intriguing material, especially a persuasive comparison of the house without walls, without doors, to the human body, with its many portals. The direction of death is down, the book explains. The peacock door has always been considered a rent or an abrasion, but in some respects it is more like a mouth, if not a more treasured point of entry. Discussions of the doors include a rite which may conjure creatures through those doors, although key incantations are missing. Alright, so that was going to get us... those who do not sleep. I think I also get phosphorescent scrapings when... So, keeper skin... keeper skin. The book is blotched with keeper skin, a luminous fungus that grows in the wood we see in sleep and enters the world when a dreamer inhales its spores. Keeper skin is persistent, but it has its weaknesses. I kind of like the idea that the bronze knife is just very slowly scraping off the... As I used to say in my youth, the day is done and so am I, but I've earned my pay. It is summer, I am sitting on the bench outside the Sweet Bones, eating crumbly cheese and nettle wrappings and good black rye bread, soaking up the sun. And there's our honey scar tea. I think we can fit that on the... Well, okay, I can fit it on the table now, but I imagine the knife's gonna complain about that placement. I'll worry about that later. Okay, Revelation doesn't really do that much for me, but again, the purpose for Denzel here is really just to get one memory. So we get what we pay for as long as we get the one memory that we would have used a book for. Everything else at this point is sort of a nice surplus. Alright, is this the way to the wood? But perhaps the wood is not a suitable place for a librarian. Name day riddle, a deceptively intricate riddle that might just teach us who we really are. Gervinus van Loren was notoriously fond of these. So, this should be the way that we read the White Jade Tablet. And we need the shears. Right, and crack track. Alright, I can master this mystery. Now, if I wanted to try and level up Edict's Liminal, this would be the time where I'm trying to make the name day riddle right away, especially because it takes 90 seconds, so it's not one of those things I can turn on a dime. But at this point, we do have lots of elements of the soul still. I would like to come up with some better uses for them by the end of the day, but none of those uses are in line with me trying to level up Edict's Liminal. I'm going to set that aside for another opportunity, just because it's relatively easy for me to get the materials I need. So one good example here, right, would be perhaps I want to think of other ways where I can make more iotic essence, or possibly even an ornament exultant. I only have the one metal here right now, so I'm not going to do that, but I'm open to the possibility. Another thing that I might try to do would be maybe make something like a Didymos or a Wind in Waiting. That's going to take up the Mazarine Fife, so I may want to be a little thoughtful in terms of when and how I do that. But once I have some clarity in terms of the upgrade path for the relevant skills, I'll feel a little more comfortable committing some things. Okay, The Black Book of Brittany, a volume of ink lore gifted to St. Brendan's by Brian of Brittany, who was made Earl of Cornwall after the Norman conquest. The black flower lies heavy, but the roots of the watchman's tree run deep, and they may not be hidden forever. The black flower, spoken of as a doom or guise, can be held at bay with the last ink of power, brewed from the pale mixture in the presence of sufficient winter and the arts of containment. That should give us a bittersweet certainty, which it does. And 2 inks of containment. Thyrza Blake theorized that keeper skin was a debased carapace kind, or perhaps its young, but she never could convince it to speak. So this gets me surgeries and exsanguinations, which we haven't committed to the tree yet. We should be able to squeeze this in somewhere. And phosphorescent scrapings. This is not immediately clear to me where this should go, but we've got shelf space here, so I'll work with it. Now that's unexpected. Alright, so... really wants me to move that knife. Oh, so half the places I couldn't put it were probably just because of the placement thing. Just let me put you down, that's all I need. All right. So, let's get to work on the serpents and venoms. So that's a scale and moon. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any moon. Under some circumstances, you know, we could take the old wound, but that's already been used. So for this one, what I'm kind of trying to look for are elements of the soul that I'm not going to be using tonight. So core would be a good start. And then of course we need to read books. So I think for this one we maybe move over here to the reading room. I can get assault just because that doesn't commit me to too much. I've already mastered this, but I could reread it and perhaps recall a memory. So I guess the first thing that I want to do here is work towards a higher level of serpents and venoms. So if I can get more moon and scale, I want to do that now. It's actually not that hard for me to do. So if I take the whist, and then we get a confounding parable, that'll be another moon for me. I'm trying to remember where we left this off, so I'm going to do It Is Written, because I know we've read Locksmith's Dream a couple of times. The Savage Hymn also works. And for that, let's do a shaft. And I think I'm going to hold off on the last one because I don't have... Or sorry, no, contradiction will also get me a moon. Interesting. I'll do honey again, but I feel like I'm losing track in terms of where we were for contradictions. All right. I probably need to prep something for rights of the roots, but I'll wait until we actually get the memory from that because I could be overloading what I already have. And then the question mark right now would be solutions and separations, but I think we have enough time in the day that I can sort of pivot on that one if I don't... If I have other things that I need. Although I should probably decide with the Faust, do I want to try and make a Didymos? And I think the answer is yes. So let's say we go to the piano. My options are limited here. Yeah, so I can get the Ascendant Harmony, but that's... Right, no, I need to be a little more thoughtful about that. So this is really a case where I want to use the... Oh. I want to use the Mazarine Fife. I think Sacra Lamea might have been an option there too, but I've obviously tied it up. So let's actually do Anbury and Lapdairy just to see what kind of sky things I get. Interesting. So there's something I can get with sky as long as I add a liquid. Trying to think of any like sneaky liquids I can work out on these, but no, I don't think that's quite worth the trouble. So we can do, well, I'll do the Ascendant Harmony just because it's the biggest right now. But I am trying to sort of put the pieces on the board and see what I can get. Yeah, so I mean, that just gets us the Ascendant Harmony again. Although the thing that's nice is that we can build ourselves a new one. The problem is that does take up the fife, which is not so good. Oh, it's just the one short. It's the 3 here that really makes this tricky. Okay, well, clearly I need to wait on the Sacra Lamea at this point. I don't think it's worth pondering too much. So yeah, I don't know if it just becomes serpents and venoms and solutions and separations for today. That's okay. Like, it's not. It does mean that there's a bunch of stuff that we didn't wind up doing with the other elements of the soul, but I think I kind of worked myself into a corner just based on what skills I committed. So, and the day isn't done yet. I'm just trying to keep conscious of the fact that it takes 2 minutes for a keeper level recipe. So this is roughly around the time that I would want to be committing to certain acts. Okay, the hindsight's helpful. That's going to actually, in fact, if I feel like it, I can level up. Yeah, I think I will. I can actually commit to leveling up Serpents and Venoms off of that. Probably better to just get this stuff out of the way than hope for a better alternative. Okay, it is written. Musgrave, fourth of the Dewolf line, writes tentatively about the Covenant of Brandkrug and the legacy of the sacred inks he calls Incusta Potentialia. As the light passeth through a prism into many colours, so the great ink separateth into the lesser inks, and the lesser inks into inks minor. Musgrave coyly refuses to talk of the great inks, or else refuses to admit he doesn't know much about them. He insists that Ugol and Stargol, which can be mixed with sufficient nectar or sky aspect, are sufficient for most befitting purposes. Move gingerly while the pain lasts. Unhatched hymns, hymns attributed to St. Lucia the Eyeless, patron of glassworkers and name of the hour called Menascate. The hymns venerate every sanctioned hour, celebrating them as the sun undivided, but also suggesting that each hour may become the next. Madrigad to watchman, watchman to wolf, and so on. The hymn of the phases celebrates the Menascate from whom we do not turn, for the truth which is beauty, the beauty which is truth, and the perfect balance between the two. The hymn of the reflections, more puzzlingly, celebrates the Menascate as the sister of Janus, mother of shadow, whose visage wondrous in emptiness can reveal all truths. Honey, the Comprehensive Guide. Harvey Haddington, pilot, polymath, confectioner, writes with great enthusiasm about the marvelous work of the bee. Haddington insists that all the primary aspects, nectar, scale, heart, lantern, moth, grail, are possessed by bees and expressed in honey. Clearly, he points out, there are only 6 primary aspects, as a honeycomb has only 6 angles. Ugol ink is separated with these techniques, but so is skinshuck mead, and only skinshuck requires honey. Just as any beverage or foodstuff can be improved with the addition of honey, so any garden is improved with the presence of bees, even those bloody blumberendi. And To a Pale Lady, a collection of Franklin Bancroft's letters to Ava DeWolf. So for some reason I went 1 over on these, but that's fine, we'll make it work. There's a substantial body of erotic pleading and half-finished poetry, but also learned discussions on matters mythical and marine, as well as notes towards a comic opera on which Franklin and Ava were apparently collaborating. Do not return, O my light, to the sea. None of us can be what we were, that is history's curse. None of us know what we may be, that is history's gift. Your mothers, and the mothers of your mothers, are caught in eternity's jaws like a robe hem in a trap. It is the pearl that shines, but the tide that returns. So one nice side effect of this is going to be, so these can be for serpents and venoms, but what I can do here, this can be the foundation for the level for solutions and separation, so now I just need 3 more knock and moth when the time comes. I'm not quite going to commit to that yet, but it's an option. Does a lot with silence, this man. So, another scale. So, I don't think there's going to be any difference in terms of splitting some of this stuff out, but we'll see. Okay, so I probably need to commit the health in this one because I want to keep the tryst free for solutions and separations. So, fear for sure. I can't see why I'd want contradiction. Essentially, all the reasons I'd want to keep contradiction are confounding parable, unless there was some sort of edge. But so far as I can tell, I'm not going to be using edge. And then we need 1 more, so in this case it's the Savage Hymn. Again, the salt gives me the knock that I need for the next one. So we use health, inks of containment, another fruit plucked from knowledge's tree. Now, because there's 30 seconds left on this, this is really the... actually, hang on. 14. Yeah, I'll wait the 14 seconds because it would be nice to see what the white jade tablet gives me first of all. I'm probably going to be a little more inclined towards leveling up I'm going to be a little bit more inclined towards leveling up solutions and separations than rights of the roots, but... The White Jade Tablet, supposedly copied from a tablet of white jade which serves as the Covenant Stone of the Grove of Green Immortals, the token which gives that library shelter beneath the Watchman's Tree. When humankind emerged from the weft of the roots, we were smeared with the filth of crumbled ages. The foolish sought to wash it from themselves, but our skins were yet soft and fell easily from us. The tablet expounds the dangers and pleasures of abandoning appearances in search of essence. Along the way, it reveals the secret of Skinshuck Mead, which can be brewed from honey by application of the rights of the roots if enough moth aspect is present. Okay, so we got an impulse out of that, which is nice. There'll be a little bit of tension in terms of working out where that goes, but... okay, so... Realistically, I don't think I can expect to level up both rights of the roots and... Or no, hang on. Okay, so I could level up solutions and separations with the shaft, and then I could use the tryst to level up rights of the roots. So let's pretend that that's what I want to do. So I would need 3 more memories for the knock. So pattern is 1. Stolen secret. Yeah, and then I would still need an impulse. But that isn't a problem because one of those will be taken up in 14 seconds, so... Okay. So with that in mind, so we already have the salt. We've done all the patterns, so we're back to advice and containment. I think I can afford to use a core here. And then the stolen secrets. We'll use metal for that. Okay, so this is getting a little more clear now. So what I need to do at this point is I need to start being a little more strict in terms of what memories I'm applying. It did actually also occur to me that I can use the FET to level up rights of the roots, which I'm going to do here. So we'll say 1 FET, 1 shaft. Any subsequent decisions that I make are going to be based off of these 4 memories that I have left here. So again, in an ideal world, I'm going to be able to get something like a Didumos. We have just enough time to be able to do that. And I would be using a Fost for it. And then in order to sort of replace, it'd be nice if I can get the Ascendant Harmony as well. Kind of depends whether or not I need the Mazarine Fife or not. But yeah, and not a terrible day. I was hoping to maybe get a little bit more done with the house. But the second best, I suppose, was the fact that we're now limited to 5th Eye curses. And I guess the thing that's nice about the 5th Eye curse is that it is kind of our choice in terms of when we deal with it. I do have the ability to summon a storm when I want. It's just a little bit harder than it used to be. So I think that's okay, but that does again suggest to me that I need to either really commit to going through the Tree of Wisdoms, or I really need to commit to doing the rooms. Those are kind of the two... I've talked about this a little bit over the course of the playthrough, that Actually, if for those of you that have been here with Cultist Simulator, it'd be interesting to see if people agree or get the same impression. But where you can sort of see that Cultist Simulator takes the clicker game style, right, where you have these different bars that are sort of filling up at roughly different times, and you're sort of on that treadmill, and obviously you have different things with different importance over the course of the game. So, at the start, you really care a whole lot about money. But by the end of the game, you probably have a whole lot of money and you don't really, you're not as worried about that. It's actually it's kind of interesting to see a similar style in Book of Hours. But it's not explicitly through these timers working down so much as, when you're early on, maybe you want as many books as you can, or specifically as many books with the relevant skills or aspects that you can access. And then sometimes it's like, no, I really need to get a lot more in terms of books, or I need to find certain workstations. The thing that's kind of most important sort of shifts as the playthrough goes through. And that's probably true for a lot of different games, but I think I reflect on it a lot when it comes to Cultist Simulator, just because you can kind of see echoes in terms of how Cultist and Book of Hours work. But it's a similarity without it necessarily being the exact same mechanic. This, the same way that the verbs, like the whole idea of like moving the cards into place, like those are clearly, that's clearly taken from one game to the other. So I don't know. It's just kind of neat. Once you get sufficiently interested in a game, I always kind of find it neat to sort of see maybe how it works underneath. It's a little bit like, if you're into movies, how, if you download it, if you buy a disc, you can see all the extra features, and sometimes there's like a commentary or that. It's kind of like the game version of that, just because you get to be interactive with it. You get to poke at it a little bit and see how it works. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.